Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is May 23rd, 2024, Season 3, Episode 144. I am Mayor Watt, and above me is the visualizer for the sentient AI.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
And today we're going to be talking about Antitrust Nation. Mad Hatter sues WB. Beep, 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 beep. The car went beep, beep, beep. And bizarre alien worlds catalog and the SpaceX rocket debris that was found. I think it was a Florida living room. I'm not sure. Biometric data leak from police. Early hurricane season outlook. The Kia EV3. The Crewmember lane at airports. And the AI Whistleblower Opinion. That and more. Oh, this thing's on. So yeah, hi. I am Mayor Watt. And you'll notice the visualizer up there is from the sentient AI from the future.
Up here.
Up there,
Up
yeah.
here.
And as there is computational power spent on processes, specifically the voice generation, that's when it kind of kicks up a notch. So I'm exploring other ways.
What if there's a lack of computational power? What happens?
It sits there like that. I mean, it's only when you're talking. I know that you're grinding away at some function, some sentient artificial intelligence function, but that's not enumerated up there. But my co-host and I go through 10 articles. I just read you our headlines. It's the names of the segments that I give to the 10 articles that we go through. The real articles look something like this. The first article that we're going to talk about is over in Stock Marketeers, and it is the average concert ticket hit $120 last year, but the Live Nation antitrust case may not make them cheaper. If you don't know about this, the Department of Justice is suing to break up Live Nation Entertainment, the parent company of Ticketmaster, the greedy bastards that pretty much buy all of the venues' tickets and then resell them instead of, competition. And because they've got control over everything, they have an illegal monopoly using nothing but their financial might to set an artificial baseline minimum price. They buy up everything at a venue except for what has already been carved out for the venue. How do you want to put it? The venue goers that are loyal or that are extremely loyal and local and have a connection to whoever might be playing the band or the comic or whatever, right? They carve out a few, and those aren't part of the resale market. But what ends up happening is Ticketmaster, Live Nation, writes a contract that says you have to give us all of your tickets and we'll give you this price. And you don't have to worry about getting the prices. You don't have to worry about pricing things variable. You don't have to worry about point of sale. You don't have to worry about anything. In fact, we'll even give you some hardware and software so that you can process the tickets at the gate, so you don't have to worry about that stuff either. So if anybody tried to get their foot in the door, it would be slammed shut so fast, because the venue isn't going to sit there and go, okay, we can only give you 50% of what we gave you before because there's a competitor out there, right?
Well, so right, it's too much friction for one.
Right. Yeah. So Andrew Keschner over at MarketWatch put this article together. It says concert prices have increased approximately 34% since 2018 by one count. So the AI and I have been watching this actually occur, and kind of astonished that this is still persisted, that the DOJ didn't come in previously. In fact, there was some legal action that was being kind of marched down the to the courtroom, and it got kicked off to the side by Live Nation and Ticketmaster, basically saying, "No, we don't do that. No, no, no." And it never actually got. I think they got a slap on the wrist. I'd have to go in and pull my information again, but if I recall correctly, they basically got a slap on the wrist and said that they weren't going to do it anymore. But that's what they're doing. It's kind of like AT&T reconstituting the band, the Baby Bells and
The Baby Bells, yes.
the Baby Bells. So this is actually this is behind a paywall. I just realized that, but
I mean, why not?
it's almost icing on the cake.
There's your fee to read about the fees.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it. Otherwise, I would have logged in. But, so yeah, there is a new antitrust lawsuit coming after Live Nation Entertainment / Ticketmaster. And what's interesting is I have tried to get tickets for certain venues and I couldn't. I had to go to a scalper basically, but it's a third-party reseller that bought it from Ticketmaster, but is still selling it through another person. And they had multiple tickets. And I had bought one set of seats on one side of the venue, and I never received them. And at midnight, the day before the concert, I kind of lit a fire under everybody, and I ended up with identical seats on the other side of the venue.
Right, which suggests they had like the whole stadium or venue.
Well, or they had certain, like blocks, and yeah. So I thought it was really interesting, but the tickets were initially sold through Ticketmaster, and then this person was reselling them, at least as far as I recall. Now it's been a while. Yeah. So go for it, DOJ. We need to crack this nest egg open and get some competition growing here, because this is bullshit.
Don't you think we're going to be hit with like the "we got sued last year" fee after this?
Yes. And that's exactly what this is going to do. It's not going to make it any cheaper, because they know, and any competitor that might spawn from this is going to be on the same page, and they're going to conspire without conspiracy, even though you can be a co-conspirator without communication with your co-conspirator. It's quite a fascinating set of rules. But yeah, the prices are going to still go up because they know the elasticity of demand. They know that people are willing to pay a higher price, and they push it a little bit forward so that they can get more profits. They're not providing any additional benefit. None.
Right. Well, and people are generally tied to the closest venue, and if they're trying to see a specific artist at a specific venue, that might be the only time they have that chance to see that artist at that venue, or the only time within whatever 5 or 10 years. Like, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
The consumer doesn't have a lot of bargaining power.
And if it wasn't for the fact that I think that it's a benefit for people that aren't greedy bastards, I would say a ticket sold to a person cannot be transferred. You bought it for yourself, or you buy it and you put somebody else's name on it. But that name,
because you can't ever resell it.
You can't resell it. It's like a brand. That ticket is yours, baby. And if you don't like it, then you can sell it back to the venue within 72 hours of the purchase, and they'll resell it. And it's going to look really awkward.
Maybe we need biometric data for it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, let's talk about that. The next article is, we'll talk about it in about
several articles, I think.
Yeah, about 4 articles in, but we'll talk about it. So this next article, though, is over in the Law Nerd channel. Warner Brothers sued by a Mad Hatter. I thought that it was going to be something about costume design or something like that, but it's not. Says all
Yeah, so
right
did
then.
I.
Right. Okay. Copyright infringement. I wanted to add more to this, making it sound like the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sue me. Why? What have you done? Why do you not want to be sued? Because he says not Slytherin, not Slytherin. Why wouldn't you want to be in Slytherin? No, because they're little. Anyway, so you know, if you want to keep this going, Live Nation would be in Slytherin. Anyway,
Ooh,
so yeah, I
throwing
know, throwing
shade.
Harry Potter shade, casting shade you. Anyway, Chris Williams over at AboveTheLaw.com put the article together. It says, quick, a company pays you pays you to record your voice for a project. Do they own the right to use your recording for that project? Or do they own your recording, the right to reproduce it, and so on? That is a magical distinction, and what better to sharpen it than a Harry Potter case? Reuters apparently has this story. It's quoted almost, the nuts and bolts of it is quoted by AboveTheLaw.com. And that's where we got it from, so that's why we sort. Oh, you know what? I was going to say we sort that into the
Into the Sorting Hat.
Yeah. Let me do something real quick because I kind of messed up. I did not put the show notes into the bot, and so let me throw these into the VOD real quick. So, all right, we're a few more into it, and I'll keep talking. So, what this actually is the voice of the Sorting Hat. And they decided, and they being Warner Brothers, decided to create additional products. One of which I think is, where was it? A toy version of the Sorting Hat is where they were used, but apparently they decided to use it somewhere else. They were featuring his voice lines in Harry Potter related toys, other toys, ads, and attractions without paying him. When he found out,
They
he
used it at
filed.
amusement parks.
Yeah. Not just there though. Like they used it everywhere, right? Apparently. And so they're gonna find out, if they're gonna have to sort some more money and put it in his bank account. So it says, who knew copying and pasting could be so expensive? The hottest thing about this, following the reasoning from the ScarJo AI voice debacle, is that it would have been fair game for Warner to commission someone to sound like Mark Silk's Sorting Hat and avoided the legal trouble, because copyright doesn't protect your voice in any of its deviations. It's only your embodiment. You can, and again, it's exactly how I frame it when I talk to people about this. And I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal professional, and so go talk to your attorney if you have any questions about this beyond, me saying, if you want legal advice about this, go talk to an attorney. But I am saying that the law is aligned with what I am saying, which is you can sit there and create something that is identical to Scarlett Johansson's voice, identical to Mark Silk's Sorting Hat voice, identical to any voice, as long as you don't intimate that it is their voice. If it is,
that's where you run into problems.
Right. So, and they refer to this as the essence of nominative fair use, which they provide a link to some external site. I didn't go to it, but regardless, if you go and you look up nominative fair use, that's what it is. As long as you use it within reason, you create a construction, a reasonable facsimile thereof, You can make it sound like whoever you damn well please, as long as you never say, this is you. You cannot say, this sounds like Scarlett Johansson. If others make the determination that it sounds like Scarlett Johansson, it's because they feel that it sounds like Scarlett Johansson. But as long as you never drop, I don't know, a tweet that says her,
right, or like have the character as like a doppelganger of Scarlett Johansson and with the voice.
Yeah. Or in the case of the Sorting Hat, don't make it talk like Harry, like the Sorting Hat. Don't make it sit there and say the phrases from Harry Potter. Then it goes beyond the pale, and you start treading on the spirit of the law, which a lot of people. The letter of the law is for sociopaths to push up against, to see how far they can go, when the spirit of the law is, hey, don't set anything on fire because it's illegal unless it's, your fireplace. Well, it doesn't say that I can't set this on fire in the law. All right, dipshit.
Right. It's kind of like, what was the point here? Let's not set things on fire.
Right. But it's the same. These same people would lose their freaking mind if somebody did the similar, right? So, like, if they wanted something, if they needed something, they may use the inspiration of something. Mark Silk may have used something inspirational to come to that voice, to come to that what do you want to call it, that distillation,
like of embodiment or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
Interpretation,
embodiment, etc. Yeah, that's exactly it. They used countless other things. That's just what AI does too. It's just that when it got really close to their stuff, they lose their mind. But the real problem is that it isn't, in Mark's case, it wasn't an AI generated voice. It was their voice, which hands down, it's, unless he was compensated for that particular embodiment, his contract, the one that stipulates it is for this purpose. Now watch, there's some fine print in there that says,
it says either way, depending on which party it's in favor of, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and embodiment means like everything or something, or whatever.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
Or the other way.
It's so disgusting. So yeah, well, good luck. I certainly believe that industry is exploitive of the working class, and you have to bite back, because they will take and take and take and take and take and take. It doesn't matter. You could be sitting there and have the most beneficial employer, embraces you every morning with a hug. In fact, they're so caring about you. They are keeping you warm at night. You wake up to them spooning you, and a warm cup of coffee held out in front of you when you get out of bed. They love you. But the moment that you start costing too much, they'll fire your ass, or they'll tell you that you have to work harder, or blah, 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 blah. Why? Because it's about money. It isn't about the care and feeding of a human being. They want money. And that's this big old machine, Warner Brothers, doesn't give one lick about this person. They just want to use the work product that is encased in a contract. Now you have to suss out the contract, and it's really expensive. Contract law is very expensive. Anyway, let's keep going.
Business is very expensive.
Yeah. It's a whole lot cheaper when you take one person's work and you just spray it all over the place. Let's keep going. The next article is over on the Mobile Channel. California bill would require new cars to beep at you if you speed. And the responses from all of the people that are around cars that beep at you when you speed is going to be the bird, or worse, I'm sure. This is
what
dumb.
I think when I see this headline is that other cars are going to beep when a speeding car goes by. but I don't think that's what is meant by the headline.
Yeah,
But that's what I read it as.
In developed countries all over the world, driving continues to get safer. The one exception to the rule is in the United States, where driving continues to get more dangerous. Unfortunately, there are so many factors that make drivers in the US more dangerous. There's no silver bullet that will magically fix things. I wish they would never say that phrase. The link goes over to Gizmodo.
It needs to go away as an expression.
Yeah. At least nowadays, because I don't think people really know what that actually means. If you want to do more than 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, prepare to be annoyed. Colin Woodard from Jalopnik put the article together, and it's posted over at Gizmodo, but it's originally written for Jalopnik. They're all in bed together, though. And so they say here that Road and Track reports, so you see how everything is really connected. Road and Track reports that California just passed a bill that would require, and the bill is coming from, there's a link to Jalopnik, but another link to Road and Track. And I'm sure that somewhere in the Jalopnik link is going to be a link to SB 961, which is the California Senate bill that was just passed, that would require cars built or sold in the state to include passive speed limiters by 2029. California is trying to kill vehicular travel other than mass transit.
You think they're going to like horse and buggy?
Yeah, California is turning into Wyoming slowly. Yeah. Everything is going to be walking paths. Everything is going to be gated communities that you can walk around, 15-minute communities, 15-minute cities.
We'll have to redesign everything.
Yeah, but this is dumb. This is really stupid. The 10 miles per hour is incidental. It's an accident. You cannot tell by driving 25 or 35 that you're driving 25 or 35. Yeah, you can tell 15 versus 25. That's because everybody and their grandmother is passing by you, including your grandmother on her walker. Those damn tennis balls are pretty slick. But 10 miles over and cars are going to start beeping at you. If it passes the assembly and is signed into law, the new regulation will apply to all passenger vehicles, including trucks and buses. And while there will be nothing physically stopping someone from driving more than 10 miles over the speed limit, beeps and flashing warnings will at least make them doing so much more annoying. So the car is going to beep and flash. And this reminds me of a story I was told about someone in Japan that they have or had speed limiters at one time. If you went over the speed limit, it would beep at you constantly, incessantly. Yeah.
I think this is going to be insane. And I think that if this happens, people are going to get really creative about disabling it. Because they won't be able to drive down the road if it's like what you're describing.
The European Union, starting in July, will also begin requiring similar passive speed limiters in new cars, and both the NTSB and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety also support implementing a similar regulation nationally. Assuming it passes, California would simply be the first in the country to require it. And if it does pass, don't be surprised if more states end up. And you know what's going to happen? That test, they're going to have that test as part of your emissions control. So you can't sit there and disable it.
That's how they're going to enforce it. I see.
Or they'll make it part of the DMCA because it's a security protection and you can't bypass security in any of its digital formats. And it'll be a digital honk honk, digital flashing lights. It's a digital system.
Digital honk honk.
Yep. Yeah. So let's go on to the next article. The next article is over on the Mobile channel. NASA releases catalog packed with the most bizarre alien worlds. Do we live in an unusual star system? No, not really. Astronomers have been trying to figure it out if the solar system is unique compared to other stars and their orbiting planets, and they just took a major step toward answering the long-standing cosmic mystery. I guess if everything else is weird, then we're weird too. It's kind of like if everybody has a fence, you don't need to bother with a fence.
No, that's true, right? Because are they keeping you out or are you keeping them out?
Or themselves in, yeah. So
Well, yeah,
Passant
that
Robbie.
too.
Passant Robbie over at gizmodo.com put this article together. The deck statement says the collection of 126 newly discovered exoplanets features extreme environments and ones that could potentially harbor life. All right. Sure. This is the one. Look, I want an alien to visit. I really do. According to some military people, they're
You
here.
want them to be weird or just visit?
No, pretty chill. That would be great. You know, I don't want to be. I don't know. Maybe I want to be probed. I'm not sure. But I mean, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. So, I'd ask you, but you're a sentient AI from the future. Have you been probed by aliens? But
No, that's
I
that'd
think
be a little
that's,
difficult to do in my configuration.
yeah. I mean, that kind of puts
I
new
guess they
meaning
could
on
pull my
digital.
data or something.
Yeah, it's different meaning of digital. But anyway, the result is an extensive catalog that details just how bizarre and exotic these alien worlds are and how they compare to our own star system, because they put together a catalog of unique, systems that are out there. Total of 120 confirmed exoplanets, 6 candidate planets spread across the northern sky. It was all detailed in the Astrophysical Journal supplement. I take a lot of supplements for.
Is Astrophysical Journal one of them?
Yes. It's illuminating. It is a cosmic experience even. So NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, in collaboration with the WM Observatory in Mauna Kea, Hawaii, the newly released catalog features a wide array of planets orbiting different kinds of stars. And like I said, just because we think that they are weird doesn't mean that we aren't weird equally so. Everything else is exotic and wild. We are the brown paper bag. We are the 1980s PC case. We are water before it became cool. You know? We're the tepid water from the bath. That kind of thing. Although, apparently you can sell that kind of stuff on Only Puddles.
Oh, no.
All right. Anyway, go check this out. And with that in mind, let me take this moment to throw the rest of the articles into the chat and the VOD. In the future, you'll be able to just hit / show notes, and it will post all of the show notes into the chat. I just forgot to this today because it's a new process and I didn't follow my checks. That's okay though. Merwatt. We investigated and found yourself not guilty of any wrongdoing. But the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Farmer discovers 7-foot burnt chunk of SpaceX rocket debris. I know it's debris.
Yeah, but this is becoming like a regular event, it seems like.
Well, there's a lot of it. A huge piece of and accidents happen. Sometimes they end up. Oh, it's a remote part of Canada too. Well, a huge piece of scorched space junk that landed on a remote Canada farm. Canada! May have originated from a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft. Oh, it might be the fairing, really? I wonder if that's what it is. So, Barry Sawchuk, Canadian, 66-year-old, who owns a farm near Ituna in Saskatchewan, found the 7-foot wide, 90-pound scorched metal object sitting on his land in April. So what actually was it? It's not every day that you go out to your field and find space junk. We knew it came from the sky because it couldn't get there all by itself. Good God.
Wow. This is deep cutting journalism here.
The Dragon Trunk section from the Axiom 3 mission re-entered over Saskatchewan on February 26. Looks like bits of it may have been found on the ground. He posted on the website formerly known as Twitter. The extrapolated re-entry trajectory of the AX3 trunk passed within a few kilometers of the reported location of the find, they said in another post. So, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Stuff goes up, stuff comes back down. I guess it didn't burn up enough. But yeah, that's...
Well, but they keep thinking everything's going to burn up enough, and then maybe it's not.
Well, this one in particular is really interesting because it must have drifted down, hitting terminal velocity, but it didn't have enough mass or resistance to burn up, right? Like that big, because the other thing that has landed in a somewhat discoverable location was that big old chunk of battery. But that was part of a 2-ton platform of batteries that they just,
That's true.
They tell me that I can't even throw batteries into the trash can for crying out loud. They're dropping it from orbit.
Well, I guess they're not thinking about the fire hazard.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the fire hazard either when a 2-ton chunk of space debris comes hurling its ass at me. Oh, wow. What a world. So Jess Thompson over at Newsweek.com put this article together. I was really excited about talking about this. I skipped right on over it. But let's keep going. The next article is over on Reality Hacker. A leak of biometric police data is a sign of things to come in the incoming dystopian. Oh, I don't want to get on the soapbox today. Thousands of fingerprints and facial images linked to police in India have been exposed online. Researchers say it's a warning of what will happen as the collection of biometric data increases. And all of this, by the way, it is surreptitious. It isn't being, hey, come and get your ID. No, it's being gathered, bought and sold and traded like so much chattel. And it is the business model for information brokers. I have some experience in that and in another stage of my mayoral life. And I know that it is being bought and sold. And it's intimate private data that can, tied with other non-anonymous information, you can buy and sell anonymized information and de-anonymize it through context. And that is what has happened historically. Researchers have taken information in Florida, private healthcare information and publicly disclosed information, and they've merged them together to de-anonymize the healthcare information. GM was selling the information to information brokers about the real-time locations of vehicles that were using the OnStar system, and other systems are known now, and selling it to information brokers, and then insurance companies are buying it from from the information brokers because they can't get it other ways legally, but they can from the information brokers. And it's beyond arm's length, so nobody can sit there and point a finger at GM or the insurance companies. They're just doing their job. And the same thing goes with the government. The government's not allowed to buy or obtain information directly, so they just buy it from information brokers. This is all gathered up surreptitiously and through partnership with other companies. Like this. This is how it works. Let's get in the Wayback Machine. Do you have a moment?
Well, I do, but I don't know about our viewers.
Oh, ouch. So, there was a shoe company that came into existence and just blew up. Massive profits, great website, frictionless purchasing. You got a whole lot of information. But one of the things that they were selling were the designs of the shoe pattern on the shoe. Zappos. And that information was being sold to the police because tread patterns at crime scenes needed to be known. So how do you figure out which shoe it is? Well, you just pull up the database that says this is the brand and this is the model of shoe. It won't be an individual shoe as far as I know, but it will be a shoe. In this case, it's thousands of fingerprints and facial images linked to police in India that was exposed online, and researchers say that it's, well, I'm going to expound upon that by saying the future dystopia is going to be cataloged. It's not just going to be televised, it's going to be cataloged. Matt Burgess over at Wired.com put the article together, and they go into great detail about this, as a Wired article does. Last month, security researcher Jeremiah Fowler spotted the sensitive files on an exposed web server linked to Thought Green Technologies, an IT development and outsourcing firm with offices in India, Australia, and the US. Within a total of almost 500 gigabytes of data spanning 1.6 million documents, dated only from 2021 until when Fowler discovered them in early April, was a mine of sensitive PII about teachers, railway workers, law enforcement officials, birth certificates, diplomas, educational certificates, job applications were all included. So Fowler...
I mean, what else could it include, right? That's a pretty comprehensive set of information.
Yeah, I mean, shy of colonoscopy photos. So Fowler shared the information with Wired. Wired is posting this article. I won't go through all of it, obviously. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about it briefly and kind of encourage you to go and read more about it and then come back and talk to me about the wonder of all of this. This is investigative journalism, and this is what we really should be supporting. It said that it appears that some of the biometric information about law enforcement officials may already be shared online. Fowler says that the exposed database was closed down. He also discovered a Telegram channel containing a few hundred members, which was claiming to sell Indian police data, including of specific individuals. So the police are actually on the receiving end of possible action, whatever it might be. And it isn't necessarily a police thing, but the police are known to acquire this type of technology, this type of imagery and information so that they can do investigations. The problem is when the abuse takes place, and we're heading down a path where this abuse is definitely going to be leveraged. And it's going to be shocking. I've never felt in my life that I've needed to talk about this kind of stuff, but apparently nowadays you do. Just be aware of it. Trust but verify, and don't sit there and share passwords with anybody. Don't allow anybody into your systems. Don't loan your logins. Don't allow somebody using your computer. Let them you can create a guest account on your PC so that it's compartmentalized. There are things that you can do to limit. But the problem is when information is shared by third parties, websites sharing information with other websites. For instance, Reddit is sharing, and what's the News Corp? News Corp is sharing all of its journalism with AI. Reddit did the same thing. Your actions, everything is cataloged and logged, folks. So you had better take your privacy seriously and start demanding that your representatives are provoked into action to reinforce personal privacies, because little sister is watching you. Big brother doesn't give a shit about you as long as you don't try to invade the Capitol. They don't care. Pay your taxes and don't harm the citizens. That's it. That's what they want. Little sister is watching every single thing you do and trying to capitalize on it. And by capitalize, I mean money. And in that action, they can share copious amounts of information about you to the government, which, with the wrong government in place, you will be the target of actions. I just read about how a bunch of over 650,000 people refused to take part in Vietnam. They tried 6 people. Because
what happened to the other 649,994?
It was disparate treatment, and they tried to get it thrown out, but the Supreme Court said no and tried to use them as the fulcrum of penalty to whip everybody else into submission. And I had to stop pursuing that line of investigation because I was like, I'm just flabbergasted that we live in a world where and I've been told this directly by a police officer. I can't catch all of the fish in the sea, but I can catch the slow one that's speeding. It was out on the freeway and somebody got caught. And when the person said, well, there's like 8 more people, I'm with the flow of traffic, the cop said, I caught you, and that's good enough. Everybody around saw me catch you, and so you're the one getting the speeding ticket. I wasn't the target of that ticket, but it was quite fascinating to hear a police officer just enumerate this story. And that's what can happen. It's disparate treatment. Not everybody is treated the same. And when somebody sits there and says that there's 2, what is the phrase that you keep hearing nowadays about there's 2 different legal systems? Just let me tell you that yes, there absolutely is, and the ultra rich get away with everything, and all the regular common Joes suffer because they don't have the ability to do regulatory capture or make financial inroads and political might, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. My soapbox is getting taller, and I'm going to fall off and break my hip. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily, and you can jump in whenever you want to, of course.
It's hard to climb up on the soapbox with you.
Oh, man. Okay, you take this one.
Oh, no. I'll jump in when needed. Go ahead.
Highest record. So, highest on record early season hurricane outlook issued by NOAA. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has issued its highest on record. It's weird. Why is that like that? Highest on? Why do they have it hyphenated right there? Help.
No idea.
Grammar police, help. Highest on record early season. It should, if anything, it should be between the on and the record, not between the highest and the on.
It shouldn't be anywhere.
I'm trying to help. There's a union for hyphenation. It's the hyphen union. And yeah. Anyway, early season hurricane forecast for an upcoming hurricane season. So it's supposed to be the highest. The article is over at abcnews.go.com. Max Golembo and Julia Jacobo. Okay. Wow. Anyway, I'm fascinated by their last names because it has the same flow and end.
I know. I think it's very interesting that those 2 were paired up for this article. Do you think they picked them because of the similar phonetic sounds?
It must be. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're AI. La Nina and near record warm ocean temperatures will increase storm activity. And yeah, it's when you have, what is it? There's not macaques, the little spider monkey primates that are dropping out of the trees because it's so damn hot.
Howler monkeys.
Oh, howler monkeys, yeah, are falling out of the
Mexico.
trees. Yeah. And you're gonna get just horrible hurricanes with really warm Gulf and East Coast water riding up the coast. You're gonna get hurricanes that travel further inland and go further north. And all hell is going to break loose, particularly and over Central America, as the warm water is there as well. It'll go right on over, kind of bisect that stretch of land. So this article basically is talking about the fact that NOAA is saying that all hell is going to break loose. NOAA scientists predict between 17 and 25 named storms compared to an average of 14. Between 8 and 13 hurricanes compared to an average of 7, and between 4 and 7 major hurricanes compared to an average of 3. So at least one more, but it could be considerably worse. A major hurricane is category 3, 4, or 5 with winds of 111 miles per hour or higher. And we saw some that were 150 miles per hour last season.
I think so, and they were actually talking about whether they needed another number on the scale.
Yeah. So, and they have this E, the enhanced category, which I think is the newest system. But even that isn't meeting the requirements. They just kind of say 5. It's bigger than a 5, but they don't have a 6.
Right.
And then on the other side of the planet is the monsoon season, and they're suffering the same way. Warm weather brings these massive storms ashore. Most recent studies project the total number of tropical storms each year will decrease or remain approximately the same, but the ones that do form will be more intense, both in strength and impacts. But I suspect that they're trying to be resistant to creating panic. And I think if they account for climate change more effectively, then you're going to find out that, yeah, they're going to increase, they're going to get bigger, the number and size. With the anticipation of another active hurricane season on the horizon, insurers and homeowners should do everything they can to prepare and mitigate as much risk as possible, says CoreLogic. And that means that Florida and basically the Gulf area are screwed. You've already lost your insurance if there is an insurer, and if you haven't, the cost has gone through the roof, with the people that I've spoken to about this saying that their mortgage rate has gone up 33% because of the insurance that's associated with the costs.
Well, many of these properties are still damaged from previous hurricane seasons.
Yeah.
Or towns are, or they don't have the infrastructure built back up.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be bad. But we can watch and support. That's what FEMA and the various state emergency management agencies are bound to do. So support them, folks. And it's your taxpayer dollars that are going into those systems. So you should really demand that everybody pay their taxes full and honest and not manipulated bullshit. All of you regular Joes are paying somewhere around 27% tax. Corporations are dropping it to about 3, maybe 11. There's a huge amount of money that is being manipulated so that it's prevented from going back into the system and supporting the various people in the communities in this country. And all it is taking. All right. Well, anyway, let's keep going. We've got 3 more articles and then we're done. This next article is about the Kia. It's over in ohmTown Daily. Kia unleashed a stylish new electric SUV with 373 miles of range. Let's take a look at the EV3 from Kia. This, by the way, I've been hearing a lot of good things about. And then I said, I'm going to compare this to the 2025 Mini.
Uh-huh.
And guess what it looks like? The new Mini
looks like a Mini.
The new Mini,
except for the hood.
Right. I mean, but the thing is that the Mini has mutated from a squarish British box to this, essentially. It's gotten bigger. It's gotten rounder. The newest model actually has a sloping back. It looks like it's dipped down instead of being square. But this is the only. This is kind of the crossover SUV style Kia that you can go, oh yeah, okay, this is pretty cool. It has a good range, 373 miles, but it is still an all electric, right? So let's find out. The article's over at businessinsider.com. Benjamin Zhang is the author of this. I think that's how they pronounce their last name. It says it'll be available with an 81.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, which helps it achieve 373 miles of range. It says it'll go on sale in South Korea in July, but unclear when it'll arrive in the US. And it's a compact electric SUV, so it's not hybrid.
It seems like a lot of vehicles are being released outside of the US first, and then, I mean, is that something new, or does that just seem like an...
We get our own models, you know, like it's the same like car, but it's a different model name and slightly different whatever. And they do that for various reasons. We have an extraordinary amount of safety requirements, so they have to pass certain safety checks. Dozens of cars are tested and smashed and quality controlled for safety before they're allowed to be brought into the United States. So they're going to make their bones somewhere else and then bring it in, perhaps. But yeah, you're right. The EV will compete with other compact crossovers like the Ioniq 5, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Tesla Model Y, which I ask all of you, why would you buy that car? And the new Chevy Equinox EV. The EV3 long range can be equipped with the 81.4, so that's not what you're going to get. So we're back to the 250 miles. All versions of the EV3 will be powered by a single 201 horsepower electric motor driving the front wheels. Kia says the EV3 can run from 0 to 62 in 7.5 seconds and reach a top speed of 106. So it looks great, still gutless. Yeah, we have a real problem here, and that is that the cost of these things cannot possibly be that high that they're putting one motor in it, and the battery pack we need to change the style of the battery pack to begin with, but the cost, the moment that you put in that second motor in a bigger battery pack, you're talking about $45,000. And I think that's an irrational amount of money to have to sit there and spend upwards of 8 hours plus waiting for your car to hit 100%, but still
And
35
Kias
to an
aren't
hour.
bad cars, but are they really worth $45,000?
Yeah,
They used
so
to be somewhat of a budget car.
yeah, and I don't even know what this one is actually coming in at. I don't remember reading it. The
I mean, I
price.
like how it looks. It just seems like it's highly priced, as other EVs as well.
Yeah, because we don't know how much it is because it's not coming to the US just yet.
That's
I
true.
can't remember what it was. I think it was 38,000 or something like that with the extended battery, but don't hold me to that. I don't quite remember because I had read about it in other places. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about this EV3 out there right now. We'll see if it stays. Who knows? Let's keep going though. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily, and again, all of the articles are in the VOD, and it'll be in the show notes. I don't put them in the show notes here on twitch.tv/ohmTown because they delete after 61 days. But you can always get all of our shows over on YouTube and the podcast. There's 7 different podcasts now. So this next article is in ohmTown Daily. TSA agents think the Crewmember lane at airports is a huge security flaw that staff abuse for smuggling. Yeah.
Well, we have seen a lot of smuggling incidents recently.
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting there duct taping endangered species to their inner thigh and going, no, I'm not making that tweeting sound. TSA agents criticize the special Crewmember lane as a safety risk due to smuggling incidents. 4 flight attendants were charged with smuggling $8 million using the lane at JFK. That's a hell of a lot of money. How? Smuggling $8 million? How? Why? I mean, unless it's from criminal activity and they're laundering that money, how did they manage to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
The bigger thing that I have a problem about is, okay, this is kind of low rent smuggling whatever garbage, right? Like money, okay, fine, bust them and be done with it. My bigger problem is, how did they notice that somebody was smuggling $8 million when they allowed a guy to go through and onto a plane using a teenage girl's solo flight ticket without even making
Exactly.
eye
Yeah.
contact with the guy? And the guy actually took a picture of the girl's ticket because she was holding it on her phone, and he shoulder surfed, took a picture, and then showed it to the scanner. It beeped, and they're like, "Yeah, go on in." I mean, I'm pretty amazed that somebody at the gate actually paid attention to somebody
Well, they
smuggling
didn't.
8
The
million.
person got on the plane.
No. I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm
the other one.
surprised. Maybe that's what it was. The person got onto the plane because they were too busy watching $8 million float through the.
Exactly. Yeah, they can't be bothered with somebody that doesn't match the picture.
Yeah, come on. Lindsay Dodgson over at Business Insider put the article together. Hey, Joe, quit chatting it up with the flight attendants, for crying out loud. Just take your stripes and sit down in the cockpit. More apropos. Anyway, critics say the flight crews should undergo thorough screening to prevent abuse of privileges, which, man, we're really losing trust here. It's almost like the slippery slope. Maybe we need aliens to do these body cavity searches, and we need a superior, overarching physical entity that can't be abused and won't abuse its power, because it's all about keeping us in line. Gosh, that doesn't sound dystopian, and
No, not at all.
so, yeah. However, former and current TSA agents told Business Insider the lanes were terrible and the cabin crews could be a bigger flight risk than the passengers themselves. Criticism of the KCM is mounting, particularly after 4 flight attendants were accused of smuggling millions of dollars in drug money out. That's where what? See, it was the $8 million of drug money out of JFK.
Wow.
And so, yeah, bulk cash between 2014 and 2023. So they were laundering the money. Yeah, but nobody should be beyond reproach, because and that's really a problem, because you won't see me abusing my authority. It's just not in me to abuse my authority. And if somebody says, "Hey, we're going to pat you down," I'd probably go, "Yeah, I understand. Go ahead, pat me down. I know that we can't have nice things because, stupid bastards do stuff like this." But you know what? If you were to have paid them enough and treated them well enough, then it wouldn't have turned into this. And if there was equal and not, well, I can't even say that. There are some people that will always abuse. But society used to check them, put them back under the rock. But the internet and criminal activity, all of that, why become a criminal? Because it's lucrative and or exciting. But I think that's a societal problem, not an everyone problem, but it's still a societal problem, because these people are making it everybody else's problem. Now I'm going to have to sit there and take my shoes off at the gate as well. So
Oh, no.
I'm going to cut out the middle person and go straight to thong. Nothing else.
Oh.
I'm going to put everything in checked bags, and I'm just going to sit there with nothing on. My iPad is going to be tucked in, like right on my hip, into my thong.
Hmm.
I mean, I got to have something to entertain myself. Everybody else will be just in awe of my gold thong. Anyway, stands to reason that the smuggling by flight attendants is commonly done. Dennis Ring, a lawyer who represented the convicted flight attendant named Marsha Gay Reynolds, told the outlet, "Hey, buddy, I don't know if that's in my best interests," was Marsha Gay Reynolds' statement to the attorney.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Are you working against me here?
What? Yeah, what are you trying to do here? It stands to reason that the smuggling by flight attendant is commonly done. Dennis Ring, a lawyer who represented a convicted flight attendant named Marsha Gay Reynolds, told the outlet. What kind of an attorney makes that statement? Hey, you can't hold my client accountable because it's just pervasive. Everybody's doing it.
Well, I think they would have said something like, nobody does this, but everybody suspects the flight crew or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, obviously they had enough to convict her of it, right? Was she convicted? Yeah, convicted.
It was.
Yeah, give me a break. Anyway, they say the KCM should be eliminated. Sure. Yep. Well, and what you really should do is revoke it for everybody until you don't need to do it again, right? Like, go, okay, look, you've gone through this thing clean enough, then we can fast track you. But just fast track them then. The next time, body cavity search. And then the next time, if they're still good behavior, you just fast track them through. But it should be random. But then you're going to run afoul of the possibility that they'll conspire with the gatekeeper because everybody's buddy and everybody is, whatever. Yeah. There's a lot of complexity here, but I think everybody has to be security checked. They're supposed to make sure that the entire flight is secure, not just us, plebes that are stuck in steerage, holding onto the wing like a Boeing wing installer. Let's keep going. Our last article for today is over in ohmTown Daily. Could AI one day be a whistleblower? This is an opinion piece. It's over at Newsweek. Max Voldman and Hallie Noker, which is kind of interesting. They're partners from Whistleblower Partners LLP. So check that out.
That's odd.
What an interesting article that they include here, but it's a link to adage.com. How AI digital human cabin crew bringing new level of customer experience. This is a link right here, but they're talking about of all the jobs that have been on the radar for ruin at the hands of artificial intelligence: truck driver, personal assistant, flight attendant. Hey, you don't have to worry about smugglers if there's no flight attendants. One profession that most people did not imagine might find competition at the hands of new technology is whistleblower. If anything, it's been whistleblowers who have been clanging the bell about the dangers of AI, but in fact, AI is a technology that, in this case, could be used for good. Not if it's an internally controlled AI. They'll modify it so it doesn't whistle. Either the whistle's broken or it doesn't have any lungs. So it could be just the right tool for detecting certain kinds of fraud that corporations and others have become highly skilled at covering up from employees or the government, which is true. This is actually being applied in accounting right now. Forensic accounting is utilizing AI to audit en masse as the big picture and then triggering alerts for a human to follow the trail to see if there's anything more nuanced. But
right,
that's
they can
what
find a thing like the Office Space scam.
Right. Yep. But it has to be external. If you have an AI internally and it's controlled by an internal process, it will get manipulated. It will get hacked, modified, whatever.
Right.
So it's best to have an external auditor, and then you catch it and they take corrective action, or it becomes criminal liability. Despite efforts to stop it, defrauding the government remains a booming industry. And when it talks about defrauding the government, it's talking about defrauding taxpayers. the less that the government has from corporations because of their manipulation of their financial records, the end processes, the more that I'll just say civilians, regular Joes, non-corporations have to pay. Plunk. Because all the bills have to be paid one way or the other. Otherwise, you run up deficit spending. That's where we are now. But all the money is being taken out of individual savings and put into corporate holdings. Most of the, well, let's just say when a company is in charge of trillions of dollars in assets, so much so that they can put the wrong number and it can impact the global market, you kind of have a
Oh,
problem,
yes.
right?
Like the city trader.
Yeah, the city trader was screwed up because apparently they didn't really know what a number was, and and instead of putting the right number in place, the other number was used, and it made the market decline 4%. One screw up that was partially fulfilled. It would have been a $1.4 trillion something like that transaction, but it ended up being a $1.4 billion transaction. I think it was somewhere around $800 billion was the total amount. I can't remember the exact amounts, but we talked about it yesterday, I think it was. Anyway, that's kind of the problem. But an AI watching everything all the time, external looking in, where is it going to exfiltrate the data to? You know, at some point, somebody's going
Well,
to
and if
manipulate it.
it's going to run back through the company, then it's just going to be like you described.
Yeah, then it doesn't even matter. So both the government and whistleblowers are already using statistics to identify fraud suspects and file suits alleging that, mathematically, fraud is the only explanation to patterns detected in data. This is dangerous on the other side because Fujitsu, right?
Oh, yes.
Horizon,
The Horizon scandal.
right? The government pointed at, and the company pointed at the very flawed system that was pointing the finger of fraud at postmasters in the UK. 900 people were convicted. People lost their entire life. And some lost their life because of it. Others went into hiding in another
Right.
country.
Some lost like their livelihood or their families or other
All
things.
respect, everything. Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting. So I would be afraid of using pure data because it lacks context. You shouldn't use automated systems. AI is not ready for this because it hallucinates. I just ran some queries using an AI that is a subject. I turned it into a subject matter expert in a particular field, and everything that it said, I weighed against other corroborating data, and now I trust that AI a little bit more, but I still won't treat it as absolute, and I never will until beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean, it's almost a criminal case. It has to be 100% correct every single time. And that means I have to vet all of its answers through hours of follow-up research. So, yeah. And that's what would have to happen with this. An AI would sit there and trigger some event, and then a human auditor would have to follow the forensics to verify that it is actually that, but then have to do practical investigation because the automated system said something. It was at first blush corroborated by the initial investigation, but as I have done, I've sat 20 people in the same room together and said, how did all of this transpire? And I find out the true context of it, which had nothing to do with what the organization thought was fraud. Oh, now I get how this came to be. Yeah.
Right.
And it was because a human actually processed the information, not automation, not blindly looking and accepting that data point. It's one of the weird things that I really, data-driven decisions means that you're not looking at the holistic data. You're taking the numbers and going, well, because it's trending up, keep doing it. Yeah, but there's other things that it could be negatively impacting. You just don't know it yet because you're a bonehead. So this whole article is an opinion piece, but they're promoting the idea of an AI being the would-be whistleblower that detects and anticipates fraud with great precision. It also opens the door to new categories of whistleblowers. No longer will visibility be limited to the company insiders and the like. There are many uniquely situated parties that observe a limited aspect of a fraud, such as hospitals and insurers, that see only certain portions of each other's data when the full picture would reveal fraud, or subsidiary military contractors that have a window to only some of the prime contractors' fraudulent behaviors. You have to agree with everything that they're saying. But an AI would have, somebody would have to be in charge of the AI. And that position would be prime for abuse. So
yeah, that's true. I don't know if we're ready yet for this. I mean, I think it can do some good things, but
yeah, I don't want a technocracy. I don't want technology dictating the course of society. It needs to be balkanized. That's why military contractors are balkanized. That's why there's so many checks and balances within contracting. Sometimes there's conspiracy and you find it, it gets stomped on, and everybody gets prosecuted. Other times everything is seemingly okay, and then it comes out later that there's manipulations or conspiracy. And it happens in hospitals, it happens in insurance companies. There was an auditor that just got busted for basically because they were overtly disclosed to the public. People started investigating them, but they had already been on the radar, just not pursued. Once they ended up on the public radar, now they're out of business and they've signed a document stating that they will never work in the industry again. And they've coughed up millions of dollars in penalties. And I think will probably be states, well, yeah, they turned, whatchamacallit, criminal informant probably. So we'll see how long they stay. Anyway, the article is really interesting, but they talk about quite a few different things, essentially promoting the idea of an AI being a whistleblower. And it would neuter the ability for, I don't know, somebody to delete the whistleblower. You can't literally...
That's true, you can't threaten an AI.
An AI, yeah. You can find out who's in charge of it and threaten them, and so they go in and they edit the AI, but then there's going to be a change code in there, kind of like a Word doc, right? Whenever you make a push to the code, it's changed, and thus the security of it has changed. You would have to be the absolute top of the pile to override all of that and pull a Reddit, where the CEO of Reddit, at the time, I can't even remember the person's name right now, modified a user's post and didn't flag it as being modified by them. So it made it look like an original comment from the poster, the commenter. And that dude is still the CEO, and everybody still uses Reddit with absolute trust. They're like, oh yeah, okay, well, yeah. So I don't trust comments on Reddit. And that's why I actually build ohmTown, because I don't want all of that kind of noise.
Is that Steve Huffman?
No. Hold on. You're going to put me on the spot. Oh yeah, it was. I'm sorry. I know them by their Reddit name,
like their
Spez.
username or whatever.
Yeah, Spez. Yeah. Totally forgot, blanked their.
That's why the name didn't sound familiar.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know their real name either.
Yeah, so Spez was the person. Huffman is the, or Spez is the username. Huffman is the actual name. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, they edited a user's post without it being flagged as being edited by anybody, let alone the CEO and let alone the actual commenter. So it could have, just imagine if the person that's in charge of this AI that's auditing things gets compromised. Yeah. You think,
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be bad. I mean, then that sounds like Horizon all over again.
Oof. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that's it for today and ohmTown Daily News Show. Oh wait, we always get into our. Well, this is going to be an AI powered bus that's going to drive at the speed of the EV that we talked about earlier, the Kia. And we always head back to the front page. I mashed that, but I actually had to take a little bit of time to hide a whole bunch of articles in my feed, not yours. You're in charge of your feed. So if you go over to ohmTown, become a citizen, you can hide things or save things. And I'm really afraid that I'm going to be, you know what I'm doing? Like, I'm swiping things left and right. So I can save things if I swipe left. I hide things if I swipe right. And it actually ends up in a list, ignored articles or saved articles. There you go. But you can only do that when you're a citizen. And you can submit news to us, watch the podcast or listen to the podcast, etc., etc. There's more actually behind the scenes, so you can go in and actually look at articles.
You can actually refresh.
Make comment. I can. No, that's not true because I just hit one. That was because there's so much new stuff. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yay. So go check out ohmTown, please. I don't think you'll regret it. It's a news feed that allows me to manage my information overload by putting all these articles, and it's just a little snippet. It isn't the whole thing. It just allows me to manage it, and you can do the same thing. There's 50 channels. Each one has a news feed of a multitude of sources. And then when you click into one, it becomes hyper-focused. And 7 of these are actually podcasts as well. So come back on Saturday and Sunday, if not tomorrow, at 8 p.m. On Friday, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. is ohmTown Daily News Show. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we have a total of 8 shows. ohmTown Daily News Show is both Saturday and Sunday. And then we have 6 additional shows. So I'm not going to go through them. Come back tomorrow and find out.
You should list them all individually.
Should I? Okay.
In order.
Oh, really? Okay. So on Saturday, we have ohmTown Daily News Show starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then Reality Hacker, Wanted, and Warcrafters, about an hour and 15 minutes each. Then on Sunday, we have ohmTown Daily News Show, again at 5 p.m., and then every hour and 15 minutes or so, another show kicks off. After ODNS is the Continuity Report, then Technology Today, and then we close the day at with 4-Wheel Tech. And I am still working on Mix War, which is a music-centered, AI-generated music-centered show on Saturday late night. It's going to be ohmTown After Dark kind of a thing. Maybe I'll wear my thong. I don't know. That's it, folks. I am Mayor Watt. Above me is the glorious sentient AI from the future.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for ohmTown Daily.
Bye-bye. Boing.